press that here. So this is the men's platform final, and well, you would think. My name's Ross Solly, by the way. Good to have you watching. I hope you've been enjoying the coverage so far this weekend. Of course, it is Rio Qualification. It's also Australian Open, and there's so much on the line here for so many divers. And Australia has qualified 2 divers in each of the individual events, and well, the situation is now we have to fill those positions, and in this event you would think that Dominic Bedgood would be the logical number 1 inclusion. He has been the standout performer on the platform for the last 2 years, probably since the Commonwealth Games, certainly. And up until about a month or so ago, logic would tend to suggest that James Norman was the second platform. James Conner was the second diver, but of course, as we now know, James has decided to focus on the springboard, taking it up against my good friend Grant Nell, and that's left the gate wide open for this second position, assuming that Dominic Bedgood will be the number 1 choice for the platform. Grant Nell is here with me again, and Grant, it really is one of the questions that have been buzzing about the pool deck is who gets that second spot in Rio in the men's platform event?
Yeah, Ross, it is, that's for sure. And once again, I'm glad I'm not a selector in this sort of circumstance. Look, we do have a lot of depth coming up, and that's great to see. There's so many younger men that are coming up and diving so well. I mean, take Ross Todd, for example. He's, made all the scores so far, but he's not a member of the national team at the moment. So there's a whole lot of considerations that the selector's going to have to take into play. But, it is a bit disappointing not seeing James up there, but, for his own reasons, he's trying to focus on the springboard event.
Now, Ross Todd, yes, that is a problem. He's not in the national squad, but Diving Australia could put him in there, and that is an option. Matthew Barnard is in the squad, but his diving hasn't been as good as Ross's this weekend. So logic would tend to suggest you take your best 2 divers the way you're performing. So, well, what do you do?
Oh, that's exactly right. And Ross had a great start there, starting with back 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twist, 72 points. Great start from him. He'll be very happy with that.
Now here's Dominic Bedgood, who is, of course, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. He won it in the synchro with Matthew Mitchum in Glasgow. Of course, Matthew no longer diving, just ran into him, and I saw you having a chat with him as well. He's looking fit, isn't he? And he was just telling me about his next tour, but we'll talk about that later. But let's see how Dominic starts off this competition. He had one bad dive in his semis, but he was still good enough to win. Let's see if he can nail together a good round here.
Great takeoff on his first dive there, Dom. Unfortunately, looked from our angle that he missed his hands on the water. Judges sort of, really not giving him the scores he would have wanted on that first dive. But he does have a huge degree of difficulty behind him, so I don't think he'll be too worried about that.
Just going to move this back a little bit. Put the other screen up again. Is that better? I think that's better. So here is Matthew Barnard. Yeah, so not a bad dive.
Wow, great start from Matthew, doing an arm stand back double somersault with 1.5 twists. 8.5, I mean, that's a great start. 76 points, round 2, but his first dive also in the 70s, so he'll be very happy with that.
This guy is exciting, Brody Scapins. I know you would have seen a lot of him in Adelaide, but he went across to a big junior event a couple of years ago and did really well there, and just a nice young kid, Grant.
Brody is a great young kid, a naughty little bugger, but no, he's a lot of fun to train with. Keeps me on my toes, which is good. Him and Matt Carter, one of our other springboard divers. But doing a front 3.5 pike here, just missing the entry a little bit. Hasn't sort of dove as well as he did in the prelims or the semis, but he's young. He's doing very well. He's here competing against the big dogs, so he's doing really good. It's really great to see that he's doing so well, and he loves the sport. also in high school at the moment, so he's trying to manage a lot of that, and that's probably one of the hard things for some of the younger athletes is being able to manage school and diving.
Yeah, and so many of these divers are doing that. And for the ones who aren't at school, a lot of them are at uni. Maddie Keeney's at uni, I know, and she's working really hard, wants to get her course finished, and so many others are trying to balance. Oh, ouch.
Yeah, that would have hurt Nick Jeffrey's calves there a little bit. Good takeoff on his reverse 3.5, but unfortunately, instead of kicking up towards the roof, he kicked a bit low towards the water and landed on his back. So that wouldn't have felt very nice. But Nick, again, a great up-and-coming athlete. Good to see him here, training at NSWIS in Sydney at the Olympic Park there, and he's doing very well. He's also got a big load with him this weekend in terms of doing quite a few events. So all the credit to him.
Scotia Mullen now from Victoria, doing a forward 3.5 somersault. As Maddie Keeney walks off to get the drug test. the drug testers are here this weekend, of course, which is fantastic. We want a clean sport. Nice dive there from Scotia. He'd be pretty happy with that, yeah. There's an 8 in there, but a bit of a range, 6.5 up to 8, so the judge is a little bit split on that dive, but he'd be happy with that one.
Yeah, I think so. Also a local Ringwood boy here. Did train in the city at MSAC as well, but no, it's great to see that he's representing Ringwood very well here and doing a great job.
Now Ross Todd had a nice solid start. Let's see if he can back that up. Of course, with the men's platform, unlike the women's 3 metre, the men's platform, it is 6 rounds of dives. So if you're sitting home and thinking, wow, I've got to climb up there on top of that bloody platform 6 times and jump off, it is nerve-wracking. Can I tell you, I went up there to take a photo and it is it's hard enough standing. That's a nice dive from Ross. He's in the zone.
Yeah, definitely a great inward 3.5. Ross has been really solid this week, diving amazingly well. Also one of only a couple athletes that are doing all the events. So he's got this and then also the 1 metre afterwards. So, he's had a really big weekend and all the credit to him because, he's still being able to focus so much.
Big dive this one for Dom, 3.6 degree of difficulty. So this is one of his high scoring dives if he can get it right.
Yeah, without a doubt. And being an ex-gymnast, he's very confident in his handstand takeoffs. Very strong and he works on them very well. So it should be a good dive here from Dom.
Yes, I know that the light is right in the wrong place, but we hope you can see it at home. He is doing a handstand on the end of the board. A lot of the divers, in fact, pretty well all the divers do this dive. Wow, it's just so...
Looks very strong.
It does, doesn't he? Looks really good. He'd be happy. That's a nice dive.
Yeah, he'd be very happy with that. Slight missing his hands on the entry there, but great takeoff. Really, really good form in the twist. 7.5. 77 points on a dive is a great second dive for Dom.
So 2 rounds down, and Matt Barnard's in front.
Yeah.
Well, that is going to make things interesting if he can hold his form here.
Yeah, definitely.
He is a member of the squad, so gives him that opportunity. It's just going to throw the bit of a spanner in the works because his scores in the first 2 rounds weren't that good, were they?
No, they weren't, and another curveball for the selectors. Matt doing back 3.5. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. Back 3.5 tuck, and he absolutely smoldered that. It was amazing. 79 points. Wow, 8.5 from the judges. Matt will be very happy with that. Saw Michelle LaRue and Duncan Roy jumping up there because they were so happy with that. So great third dive there, Matt.
He certainly brought his A game along when it matters, and in years gone by this would be when it matters, the final and finishing top 2, but so many other things taken into account now. Brodie Scapers now from South Australia. Back 3.5 somersault.
Doing the same dive as Ross here. Brodie's probably our youngest competitor here in the men's 10 metre. And just not having his day today, unfortunately. I mean, he is a very strong and talented athlete, and just at the end of the day comes experience, and he'll learn from today, learn from this weekend, and take a sort of step back and work with his coach Christian and see what they can improve on.
Don't forget, later on this morning we have, in fact it'll probably be early afternoon when it starts, we'll have the women's 3 metre synchro, which is going to be a fascinating competition, certainly between Esther Chin and Samantha Mills and Maddie Keeney and Annabelle Smith. It will be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that very, very much. But here's Nicholas Jeffrey. He's recovered his last dive, of course. He landed it pretty well on his back, but he recovered nicely there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going really well. This men's platform competition is actually stepped up, and they're doing really well. The top 3 divers are just really showing what's up, but also the younger guys. That was a great dive from Nick, and he'll be very happy with that.
Scotia Mullen now from Victoria, doing a back 2.5 somersault as well. Do you ever get on the platform these days, Grant?
It's been since 2011, actually. NCAA Championships back in America was the last time I was on platform, but I don't miss it. I'll be honest. It's quite high up there.
Yes, it does take a special kind of nerve, I think, to hold it together for these ones. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, great dive for Scotia. The lower DD there, doing the back 2.5 pike, 2.9. However, if you execute it really well, you can come up with, as you can see, 60 points there. So, no, Scotia will be happy with that, and Jorgen, his coach, looked like he was very happy with that dive.
Now, Ross Todd will be sitting in around 3rd, I think, at the moment. Oh, Ross, no, that's not gone the way he wanted.
Yeah, just sort of ducked his head a bit on takeoff there. So when that happens, your spot is normally in the wrong position there. So during your dive, you sort of lose where you are, and unfortunately, he just went a bit over there. He won't be very happy with that, of course. But it's good to see that he still goes and sees his coach after every dive, and really, Ross has been had a great consistent weekend, so he'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, that does put him in a difficult position. Dominic Bedgood now. You're sort of waiting for Dom to come through here, and he and Matthew Barnard are the 2 divers who are stepping up at this stage in this event.
Yeah, big dive from Dom here, doing a front 4.5 somersault in the tuck position. Oh. Pretty good dive there, Dom. A little bit slow on the kick out, but the entry was really good. I think the judges will definitely like that.
3.7 degree of difficulty, of course, so that will jump that score up quite nicely. Let's see now if we get the progressive scores now, and it is Matthew Barnard who's got quite a good lead, actually, a 20-point lead over Dominic at this stage. We are only at the halfway stage, though, and a lot can happen between now and the end of the event, of course. And Scotia Mullen's currently in the bronze medal position for the Australian Open. Not much in it, though, between him and Ross Todd, and Nicholas Jeffrey, of course, still in there quite close. But the top 2, Matthew and Dominic, are looking pretty strong at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. They're doing, both Matt and Dom are doing very well. Hopefully Ross can step up again in this other next dive. But I mean, Matt is on fire today. I was speaking to him this morning. He just, you could see it that he was a lot more confident today. I think that he'd taken the pressure off himself. Unfortunately, didn't have the best prelims and semis, but obviously today you can see that it hasn't worried him. He's really doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he is the first diver to go gives you a fairly good indication that he didn't get the scores he would have liked in the prelim and semis, but he's out there now, and he's a guy who's come in at the bottom, and he is leading and diving really, really well, really consistently at the moment. Let's see if Brodie can get his event back on track here. He's had a couple of dives that didn't quite go the way he would have liked.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, great from Brodie, great in with 3.5 in the tuck position, kicking out nice and high above the 5 metre and putting it down very well. 7.5s from the judges, very happy with 73 points. That was a great dive from Brodie there.
Let's see what Nicholas Jeffrey has in store now for us. He's doing a back 3.5. Probably in the mix for a bronze medal here if he can nail a couple of good dives at the end there. And it's not to be sneezed at, a bronze medal at the Australian Open, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. Being third in Australia, wow, that was a great back 3.5 from Nick there. He'll be very happy with that. Nice sound on the water, you guys probably heard that. And the crowd really enjoying that dive as well.
Good scores there too for Nick. He'll be very happy to be back there in getting a favourable view from the judges. Of course, judges sit on both sides of the pool here, and it is almost instantaneous. It's almost as soon as they hit the water, the judges are pushing the button on what they think that the score should be, and most of the time they seem to get it right. Grant, I'm sure as a diver you'd think sometimes, how do they see that, or what did they see that I didn't see? There'd be times when that would happen.
I mean, of course, but they do look at dives in a different way to that we do. They're very, critical on certain things. And also, we've got a great panel of judges here in Australia and a couple of internationals that have come along as well. We saw them before the competition all talking about how it was going to go and doing their meeting. Good dive there from Scotia, back 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twist. Pretty consistent he's been today. Nothing really great, but everything's been very consistent.
All right, now Ross Todd. He was sitting 4th at the halfway stage. Only a couple of points out of the bronze position. But yeah, his third dive was what let him down. It didn't finish at all well for him. So let's see what that has done to his confidence. He can put that out of his mind and come out here and get a good solid 4th dive here to get himself back in medal contention at the Australian Open.
You could see as he took off there, he threw his head back, and that sort of counteracts your rotation. So unfortunately, you don't get the speed you want off the platform. Unfortunately, he won't be very happy with that, getting out of the water and shaking his head. But sometimes it can be so hard, especially the younger guys coming up, and consistency comes with time. You're not born with it. You got to work for it.
Yeah, so that really does put a big gap between Matthew and, let's assume, Dominic, if he same dive, yeah. So let's see how he goes with this one. But if he can get this one, then there really is daylight between Dominic and Matthew, or Matthew and Dominic, and the bronze medal.
Yeah, without a doubt. Dom's reverse 3.5 has been very consistent for him over the years. Doing it in synchro with Matthew, and really strong. I mean, great takeoff and a fantastic finish there. A little bit splashy, but I mean, he finished it so high, and the judges will reward him for that.
So that brings to the end the 4th round. Good marks there for Dom. It'll put him puts him around 15 or so points, I think, behind. Let's have a look now. We're just getting an update here. So, yeah, about 14 points behind Matthew Barnard at the moment. Barnard leading from Dominic, and then Scotia as well back in the 3rd position. It's pretty tight, 3rd and 4th at the moment, but Matthew and Dom are having a race between themselves here, Grant, and that's the way it should be. A bit of good competition. Matthew thrown his name forward again for the selectors to ponder for Rio. He may well be driving himself onto the plane right now for Rio.
Yeah, exactly, and Matt's doing a reverse 3.5 here. He had a great one in practice. He got a bit close to the platform earlier, unfortunately pulling that on the end. However, his takeoff was a lot better, and he's been a bit close to the end of the platform with his head, so the coaches were actually happy with his takeoff, that even though the total execution of the dive wasn't great. But it's great to be here. We've got a big crowd, and they're enjoying the show so far. So if you are in the Melbourne region, come down to Aquanation in Ringwood and come and enjoy this event with us. Yeah,
there's some great diving still to come. Not a lot of quantity, but a lot of quality. Here we go with Brody. That's a better dive for Brody.
Yeah, definitely. Not the only one in this competition doing the forward 2.5 with a full twist in the pike position. Brody's working on his new dives. As he gets stronger, he learns the bigger dives. So he's doing very well here.
Yeah, so Matthew, I put the mock on him a little bit about talking about him getting onto the plane for Rio. That last dive has brought him back a little bit, obviously, for Matthew Barnard. But you would think that gold and silver, he would have one of those parcelled up. It's just a question of what colour Nicholas Jeffrey now, who's in the mix for a bronze medal, just flipped it over at the end.
Yeah, didn't quite hold the handstand for long enough there. The judges want to see control, so that's normally about a 3-second hold. As you can see, judge number 3 giving him a 3.5. That was probably based on the fact he didn't hold the handstand in a controlled form. And at the end of the bottom of the dive, it was a bit over. So, I mean, Nick will be a bit disappointed with that, but there's still another round to go.
Now, Scotia Mullen, currently sitting in the bronze medal position at the Australian Open. What a great thrill it would be for Scotia to pick up the bronze in this event. If he can just hold it together here. He's doing a reverse 2.5 somersault.
Yeah, the only thing that's probably going against Scotia here is his DD. It's quite low, but I mean, it's good. It'd be good for the Ringwood community here. You know, having one of their locals getting a medal. I know that you know, with this new facility and stuff, it's drawn quite a big crowd. So yeah, it's great to see a lot of people here, and Scotia doing a pretty good reverse 2.5 there, a little bit over on the end of the water. Nice high jump, great strong kick out. There's sort of 5.5, 6s, but yeah, I think overall he'll be happy with that.
I'm glad you mentioned the crowd. It has been really fantastic for the last every day, all days, 4 days here, and the crowd has been again today. It's just jam-packed up there. A lot of family and friends, but a lot of people, I think, just coming along. They've heard that this is on. They've come to see some world-class diving this weekend, and you know, that's the future. And a lot of kids here too, Grant. It's great to see so many kids here watching, and they are the future of the sport. So yeah. I hope they've picked up a few tips. Yeah. And get a chance to spend a bit of time amongst the heroes like the Grant Nells of this world. Ross Todd now, he really needs, his last 2 dives have been by his standards not so good. Let's see if he can get back on the... Oh wow.
That was probably the best dive so far we've seen today. Back 3.5 somersault, 8.5 from the judges, 84 points. That's definitely up there in one of the best ones today. He'll be very happy with that. Both Michelle and Duncan, well, Duncan, his coach, you know, jumping out of their chair after, you know, pushing their hands in the air. That was a great dive from him.
Yes, and it might be a case like a few other divers of what could have been, with those 2 dives in the middle there just not quite coming together for him, but he's jumped himself back up into the bronze medal position though with that dive. That's how good it was. So that is a great result for Ross. Dominic now, he can go to the top of the leaderboard here because we know Matthew's last dive scored pretty low. What's this dive for Dom? Is it one of his better ones, Grant?
This is a very hard dive. It's a back 3.5 somersault in the pike position. Dom's the only one doing this here today. This is a very big dive internationally. Not that many people do it because of the difficulty of it. However, Dom is very strong and he's been doing very well. Great takeoff there, and yeah, he'll be very happy with that. Look, it was a bit of a heavy entry, but the judges will love the fact that he still finished above the 5 metre, and you know, it was a great dive in the end.
Yeah, good score there. That takes him into the lead with 1 round to go. There we go. Dominic Benchgood, Matthew Barnard, Ross Todd. The race for gold and silver is between the top 2, and Ross Todd and Scotia having a good little battle for the bronze there, Grant, which is fantastic. But yeah, Dominic coming good when it matters, which is what you expect from someone of his class and experience. Of course.
Dom's become a very consistent and actually a very pretty diver to watch. The aesthetics is a big part of diving, and he really shows the proper positions and forms correctly. He's come a long way since being a gymnast, obviously a very high level gymnast, and the dedication that he shows in training really stands out today.
Now here he is. They're at opposite ends. They are diving next to each other, but it's opposite ends. Dominic's the last diver to go. Matthew the first. Let's see how Matthew can finish here.
That was a phenomenal dive from Matt. He'll be very happy with that. I know he needed to make a national team score today, and that should definitely get in that. Yeah, 404. That's he'd be happy with that. Look, disappointed with the fact that he didn't do all of his dives amazing, but you can definitely see his consistency has improved since 2 days ago.
That's a national team score, right? That?
Yes, I think its national team score would have been 385 or 390, something like that. So he'll be very happy with that.
Now Brody going off the lower board for this dive, which they can do. There's no reason why they can't do it, even though it's a 10 metre platform final.
Yes, definitely. For some of the younger guys who haven't quite got their bigger dives yet, they still want them to be able to compete with the big guys. And Brody's showing an easy front arm stand there, but it's good execution. Shows that we all still have to work on our basics. Brody has done very well. He won't be happy with his score, but at the end of the day, he's had a great weekend here and really got to show off what he's working on.
All right, let's see what Nicholas Jeffrey can bring to the table here. He is currently sitting in 5th position, so nice finish.
Yeah, great finish from Nick. A back 2.5 with 1.5 twists in the pike position. A dive that a lot of the guys do. A nice, sort of easy dive with a reasonable high degree of difficulty. So a lot of the guys are very confident and use that as their last dive.
So Scotia Mullen, he is sitting 4th at the moment. A good dive here will put the pressure on Ross Todd for that bronze medal position, and it is the old handstand, a tough one to finish for Scotia. He needs to get.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good dive from Scotia. Also, the only one doing the front arm stand triple. A great execution in the dive. Not a very common one that the judges would see very often. So, in terms of how they judge it is probably different to what they would normally see. But a great execution and a great competition from Scotia.
All right, now Ross Todd. You would think he's diving here for the bronze medal, and he's finishing with a toughie as well, Grant. But if he can get this right, then he should be safe for the bronze medal.
Yeah, definitely, and also at the end of the day, this being the Rio Olympic selection trials, it's a combined score of the prelims, the semis, and the finals. So the selectors will, after this competition is over, take a look at and see who has done the overall scores, who has been the most consistent, and make their decision from there. Ross doing probably one of his best back arm stands. I know he's been struggling, and it's a pretty new dive for him. He'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, the high degree of difficulty there helps knock that up. 62.7 his score. So yeah, look, let's put him. We'll come back. Yeah, let's put him in the 3rd position. So that's great for Ross. Now it's up to Dom now to finish off a back 2.5 somersault with 2.5 twists. It sounds complicated, Grant.
Yeah, it's a very big dive. This is the dive that Matthew Mitchum won the Beijing Olympics with. The back 2.5 somersault, 2.5 twists in the pike position. It's a also a very hard dive, degree of difficulty wise. But Dom executes this dive very well. He's a very fast and smooth twister. Yeah, we'll just see how he goes here. That was basically perfect. That was amazing. You did see him split his legs a little bit there, but the judges are going to throw the scores at him for that one, that's for sure. Yeah. Well done, Dom. There's your ticket, mate. Well done.
Yep, I think we said the same. We said it about Madison Keeney. I think we can say it about Dominic Bedgegood as well. He has just, we would think, has dived himself off to Rio with that. So well done to Dominic, and you would expect that he is the cream on the cake as far as platform diving goes in Australia at the moment. Well done to Matthew Barnard. He had to come out today and dive well, Grant. He's had such a disappointing early round, so he's come out now and posted that qualifying score, and he's finished up in silver. And Ross Todd, after a couple of wayward dives in the middle of the competition, came good at the end. So that's going to be the interesting fact for the selectors now. What do they take into account? How do they decide who gets that second ticket after Dominic?
Yeah, correct. Dom, I was just looking at the selection criteria now. Dom has made the C score that was needed in the final round. So he's definitely done what is asked for so far. So, the selectors will, look at him very confidently and, in the selection, I'm sure. And then I guess it's just up to the other spot whether they're going to fill it, to get experience for another young upcoming athlete or whatever they decide to do. But once again, Ross, thanks for having me here. It's been a great time, and we got 2 more great events coming up.
Indeed. Grant, always great to have you on board, mate. The insights you provide are fantastic, and I know people sitting at home are really appreciating it because it gives them a bit of an extra idea of what's going on. So thank you so much, mate. We'll take another short break and then we're going to be back with what should be a fantastic event, the women's 3 metre synchro. So we'll be back very, very soon with that. We hope you can join us and watch this great event unfold. Good operator.